So this is Apple's latest and greatest, the iPhone 16 Pro Max. This top of the line iPhone has been out for a little over 2 months now, and I thought I'd try it out to see whether it's worth it, especially now that Christmas is near and many are looking to give themselves an upgrade. So let's get straight into it. Now, design-wise, the 16 Pro Max still pulls heavily from its predecessors. Not that that's a bad thing. This phone is definitely distinct in its aesthetic features, especially the camera system, which melts into the back of the phone. The chassis is made out of titanium and has a brushless finish as opposed to the 15 Pro Max. And it's here that you'll notice the addition of the camera control button, which acts as a quick launch feature for the camera app and can act as a shutter. We'll talk more about this later. I will say that the natural titanium color is my favorite of this year's lineup. It gives you a nice look without picking up too many fingerprints. All in all, like the 14 and 15 Pro Max, this is a nice looking phone that feels solid in the hand. Now moving on to performance, it's no shocker that this phone performs superb when doing all manner of tasks. Firstly, Apple's software optimization has always been industry leading. The UI feels buttery smooth when navigating through settings, menus, and apps. The A18 Pro chip that is quoted to be built for Apple Intelligence, in conjunction with 8 gigs of RAM, provides stellar performance whether you're just scrolling on a website, navigating between apps. It all feels great. Gaming is all too easy on this phone. I never had any hiccups, even when playing more demanding games. The larger display also helps here, as you won't have to worry about squinting when playing games or watching content for longer periods of time. Speaking of, the 6.9-inch OLED panel is absolutely fantastic. You get those deep blacks and vivid colors. Not to mention, it is a 120Hz display, which adds to the smoothness of animations as you navigate the UI and when you play games. It is a shame that the standard 16 doesn't get 120Hz or even a 90Hz panel, but I guess Apple had to sell their Pro lineup of phones somehow. Alright, let's move on to the camera system. Now, the triple camera system at the back comprises of a 48MP f1.8 wide, a 12MP f2.8 telephoto, and a new 48MP f2.2 ultra wide. And up front, you get a 12MP f1.9 wide sensor. Now, photos come out excellent on the 16 Pro Max. The combination of a wide, telephoto, and ultra-wide gives you great versatility. Photos themselves are well detailed with solid dynamic range and decent exposure. Apple's computational photography has always helped to produce really clean images with natural looking colors that don't feel oversaturated. The updated ultra-wide sensor also packs a punch. Not only do you get more detailed ultra-wide shots, this also does wonders for macro photography, as you can capture fantastic close-up shots. It's safe to say that you'll get some great shots overall with the 16 Pro Max in good lighting. Low-light photography is also great, but not dissimilar to the 15 Pro Max. I think this is where the gap closes between the 15 Pro Max and the 16 Pro Max, as low-light photos produced by the 12MP telephoto are very similar to the 15 Pro Max. Ultimately, however, I think Apple was banking on the fact that improvements in software and computational photography would do the trick. And for the most part, it does. But a bump in hardware spec to the telephoto lens for better noise reduction in low light would have been nice. Video is also superb here and is great for vertical or horizontal content creation. The sensor shifting optical image stabilization comes in clutch to help produce very smooth results all around. Now, the camera control button was pretty hit and miss for me. While I do like having a dedicated button to quick launch the camera app, while in the app, it didn't really do much for me. There were times where it didn't really feel that responsive. Plus, its position is more favorable when in landscape mode rather than when shooting vertically. All in all, other than just using it as a quick launch button, I didn't really find much use for it. Now, I want to talk about the battery life of the 16 Pro Max because this is where it truly shines. Now, I was consistently getting 3 days of usage with this phone with the always on display activated. And my usage consisted of navigation, texting, YouTube, web browsing, photo editing, and a bit of light gaming. Now, I just want to note that I would consider my daily usage to be of a moderate intensity. at about 3 or sometimes 4 hours of screen on time. I think for the power users out there, you can consistently expect about 2.5 days worth of battery life with this phone. Now this is thanks to a few elements like the physically larger battery in the 16 Pro Max, along with the new and more power efficient A18 Pro chip, as well as the iOS 18 update. And I have to say, A+ for Apple here. This is easily the best battery life I've experienced on a smartphone this year. Now I know I haven't mentioned Apple Intelligence, and truth be told, I actually didn't really use any of those features as much as I thought I would. Now, I don't really use AI to summarize long emails or even draft up replies to emails that I can then refine on my own. So that didn't really do much for me, but those features are available if you're into that. Further to this, you can also create custom emojis based on text input, and there's also a feature that allows you to prioritize emails and text messages based on time sensitivity, and this is all done through an AI-driven process, which is nice, but again, it didn't really do much for me because I usually just check all of my notifications in one go. Now, one feature I will mention was useful to me was the ability to actually search through your galleries just by describing an image or a video. And this really comes in clutch, especially if you're like me and you take a lot of photos and video. It can be like navigating through a maze when you have these galleries full of hundreds or even thousands of photos and videos. So this is a very useful feature that I can recommend. But yeah, all of these features overall are nice to have, but again, nothing life-changing. All right, so the million-dollar question, is the iPhone 16 Pro Max worth it? The answer is, yeah, it is. I mean, no surprises there. I think that power users will absolutely love this phone. It has a very versatile camera system, it has a fantastic display, and it has a phenomenal battery life. I truly think Apple nailed it with this one. I think it just offers a great iPhone experience. That is, however, if you're willing to rob a bank and drop 1200 USD on this phone. Now, I do think that this phone is worth looking into if you're on an iPhone 13 Pro Max or older. Now, if you do have a 14 Pro Max or a 15 Pro Max, hold on to your wallets because I think you can get away with those phones for at least another 2 years before you can consider upgrading. So just hold on to your wallets. But like I mentioned, if you do have an old iPhone, then I definitely think that the 16 Pro Max is a worthwhile upgrade. So this has been my take on Apple's latest and greatest. Leave a like, comment down below what you think of the 16 Pro Max and whether or not you're thinking of upgrading to one or whether you're actually rocking one right now. Let me know your thoughts down below. But yeah, for now, it looks like we're out of time. So I'll catch you guys and girls in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.
High.